Welcome to WordPress Basics, Module 5, Widgets. All right, we are in Module 5, and in Module 5, we're going to talk about these things they call widgets. You probably have heard that term before. We're going to talk about what we can do with WordPress widgets. Now, in the past few weeks, we've kind of really built this website out. We've added pages. We built blog posts or created blog posts, a variety of blog posts, some with video, images, audio. And so now we're going to move over to, as far as page layouts, we're going to move over to the right side of this particular theme. And if you notice, as you scroll down, there's a lot of white space on the right side. And you don't necessarily have to fill up all that white space, but it's a good spot to add certain things or elements that add to your website. I kind of call widgets as the extras, the little things that you want to showcase or display to people. Some of the things that you normally would find in a sidebar, like right now we have an archives area and we have a place where we can log in and log out to our website. Those are kind of default things that you get when you install WordPress. We're actually going to remove and add some other widgets in just a few minutes. But some things that you would find over here would be your social network icons. Like you may see someone have a Facebook, their Twitter icon, the LinkedIn icon. Some other things you would find, this is a popular place. They often recommend, if you are collecting or capturing email addresses for a newsletter, that you add your code in this upper right-hand corner area. Most people are really used to seeing that area as a place to add their name and email address if they want to subscribe to your blog or subscribe to your newsletter. So we'll kind of show you how to do that in a few minutes as well. There's a lot of widgets that we can add over here. There's widgets where you can add graphics. For instance, if you do want to offer ads on your website, and we'll get to this in the next module with plugins, there are plugins out there that will allow you to add ads to the site that you can sell to people, especially if your website is generating a lot of traffic and your blog is getting a lot of page views. You might want to monetize your website by adding ad space. So we'll show you some ways that you can do that. Another thing that we'll talk about in this module are links. A lot of people have blog rolls. You call them, blog rolls are essentially a group of links, and usually your favorite links or partner links. We're going to actually go to the link section of WordPress. I kind of skipped it a little bit, but we'll go back to it. And we'll add some links, and then I'll show you how you can add links to your sidebar. That's a really good location also for that. So let's go ahead and jump into WordPress. And we are on our dashboard. And as you can see, I have links open. So we're going to go to that in another lesson. But for now, we're going to go under appearances. And I'm just going to kind of go down what appearances are, but I'm going to mainly concentrate on widgets for this particular lesson. So if you click on themes, and I'm going to actually have a whole e-course just on WordPress themes later this spring. I decided there's no way I can cover how you customize and how you look for themes and all that in just this basic lesson. So I'm developing right now a 6 module lesson on this. But as you can see, there are the theme we've been working with is called 2011. And there's one other theme. This is the one they had previously called 2010. So if you wanted to switch out to one theme to the next, this is the area where you would do that. I'm going to skip down widgets and menus since we're going to do more of that later. This can look different, this part down here after menus, depending on the theme that you have. Some themes, like the theme that I use for DIY with Ty, has its own tab. So when I want to make changes to that theme, I can open up that tab and make my changes. But for the 2011 theme, they kept it pretty simple. If you go to theme options, they let you do things like change the link colors, the layout. You can change the color scheme. They'll let you change the background. Like right now, we just have a white background. But it will allow you to add, if you wanted a colored background or a textured background, you can do that. It has a header. You can add a header. If you notice on ours, I'm going to go back. This has this really very peaceful, nice water with the rocks. That's something that comes default with WordPress. And I said it was white, but actually the background behind here is actually gray. But if you want to change it to white, all white, you could. So those are some of the things that this particular theme actually offers. There are lots of themes out there that offer a lot more options than this. But for, just getting started and getting set up, this is a pretty nice theme. The other area is the editor area. I wouldn't really recommend going to this area because as you can see, it's code. You can really mess up something bad. As a matter of fact, when people come to me to customize their themes, this is the part. I don't actually go inside the WordPress and change it. I do it on the outside. But this is the part where I go in and I actually customize all this code so that they can have a different look and feel to their website. If they they like the theme, they like the layout, but they wanted something a little more to make it not look, like the theme they bought. So those are the areas under appearances. And so you definitely, this is a great theme to start with if you are interested in putting up a website really quickly. Just really great features. Excuse me. And so we're going to go to widgets. We're going to just concentrate on widgets in this lesson. And then in the next lesson, we'll talk about menus. So in widgets, as you can see, they have, on the far right, they have the main sidebar. They have a showcase sidebar. I'm not going to really spend too much time on that today. But they also, in some themes, and this one is one of them, they consider the bottom, the footer, the area of your website, a place to add widgets as well. So we're going to just spend some time and play around back here and talk about the different widgets so that you can see them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab, and remember when you want to drag something, you're going to roll over kind of what you want. Like I'm going to drag this calendar over and talk about it for a second. And I'm going to put it over here. Let's see what else we're going to bring over. We're going to bring over the archives. I'm going to bring over, let's do recent posts. And I'm going to close these so I can kind of see them because they're going down the page. Let's bring over a search box. We'll put the search box up top. We'll bring over, we'll wait on the text box. Let's bring over, let's see, categories. Let's say so right now we have brought over 5 widgets. We have a search, a calendar, categories, recent posts, and archives. And I'm going to bring this meta over. And you might be thinking, well, didn't we already have archives and meta out there? We did, but those are the default sidebar items. Really, if you want to customize it the way you want it to look, it's better to bring over the items that you want, and you can kind of move them around. Say if you wanted the calendar at the bottom, it's just that easy to customize your sidebar. Really easy. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and hit reload. Okay, so now you can see as I scroll down that your sidebar looks a lot different. We've added some things. So we have added a search box. And this is really nice. As your blog grows or your website grows, and if you have a lot of content on there, it's good to have a search bar because this allows people to go in and search for things. Let's see. Let me think of one we had. Let's try a podcast just to see. Okay. So if a person was looking for all your podcasts, notice that it pulled up the 2 podcasts. We did these in the last lesson in their search results for podcasts. So that's something really nice and that you probably want to have, especially as your website grows. Now I pulled the calendar over here because I see a lot of people pull the calendar over. This doesn't work exactly the way you may think it does. If you're looking for kind of a calendar of events, there's actually plugins for that. For this particular one, it actually refers to the blog post. So as you can see, the 6, 13, and 15 are highlighted. That means you have blog posts on those particular days. So if I click on the 13th, February 13th, it actually brings me to the blog post that I did on February 13th. So, I mean, that's a neat feature to have, but it doesn't quite work the way you may be wanting a calendar to work. Most people who are looking for a calendar are looking to show events, upcoming events. And in a later module, we'll get to plugins in module 6. I'll show you a calendar plugin that you can use that way. So I kind of want to pull that over just so you can see what it does. Let's see, categories. If you remember when we set up the blog post, I'm going to go back over to the dashboard and go to post. And I'm going to click on categories. And you remember when we set up categories back a few modules back, we had guest bloggers, interviews, podcasts, tip series. Well, that's where these categories are coming from. So any blog post, let's say that you have under, we'll go with authors, it's going to pull up all the blog posts that's under that category, that's under archives, or under authors. So you might really like to have that as a part of your blog post, especially, and these things really come in handy the more your blogs grow. So, and another thing, let's see, recent posts. Sometimes as people get deep into your website, when they're on the home page for this particular setup, they can see the recent blog posts. But if they're on another page, say they go into podcast number 2, which actually doesn't have the sidebar. Oh, well, I could show you something else, I believe, right here. Let me try something real quick. I'm going to click edit. And let's see if it'll let me do it. I'm not sure. Okay, this might be in another lesson, but I was hoping, I think this isn't enough. This is in, I think it's going to be module 7 when I actually show you how to either have a home page or the blog. But for now, when we go inside the blog post, there's not going to be a sidebar. But we're going to change that in a few lessons down. I'm glad that I saw that. So now I know something else I need to show you. So let's go back. Anyway, as I was saying, not to get too far off topic, if you want to show your most recent blog post, you can. And then we have our archives. And then we have this part where you can log in and log out. If you ever been to any of my websites, I don't really like this. And most of my clients that I set up, I mean, it's okay to have it there. But I prefer if you just bookmark or remember the login to your particular website. Just for security purposes, to me, it's better not to have that login. If you feel more compelled, like if you like to have that link, you can certainly have it there. For my personal preferences, I don't. So actually, we've looked at a few widgets, and I'm going to go back and do a few changes on them. So I'm going to go let's go back over to widgets under appearances. And because I just told you I don't really like the meta, I'm going to just drag that off. So if you don't like something, you can just drag it off like that and it goes away. I told you, to me, the calendar, I don't really care for people to go through the blog via the calendar. So I can drag that over or just click on it and just press delete. So I can drag it off or press delete. Either way, now take it off your sidebar. And I'm going to make a couple other changes. Like, for example, let's look at categories. There's a couple of things under categories. Like, if you didn't want to call it categories, you can give it another title. You can display it as a drop-down. You can show the post contents or show the post counts. As a matter of fact, I'm going to click on that and save it just so you can see how that looks. If you want to show the hierarchy, there's a way that you can kind of play around with the categories to show your subcategories. If you remember when we set up the categories, we have a few parent categories and then we made some sub or child categories. You can show that if you want. So I think I'm going to go back and click that as well and then click save, just so you can see how it looks. While that is saving, I'm going to move down to recent posts. You can change that if you don't want to say recent posts. Like, for instance, maybe I want to say my blog, just to change up recent posts. And you can show, it defaults to 5. Say I only want to show 3. So you can make changes like that to really customize it to what you would like. Let me look at archives and see. I really like for the archives to be displayed as a drop down. And I like that because the say for a year, you started blogging last year of January and here it is a new year. Well, you can have, maybe for now, at least 12 months of blog posts. So that could get pretty long on the side. And one of the things I definitely like to recommend is not to have your sidebar too cluttered. And I'm going to my computer is slowly saving, but let's go back over to the website. I'm going to hit reload. Hopefully we'll see some of these changes. And we do. So as you can see, I took away the calendar. I took away the login thing. There's a couple of changes you can see. Some of them didn't take. I'm going to go back and save them again. The one that did take was what I was talking about, was the drop down part for the archives. See, if you went all the way back to January 2011, that could get pretty long on the side. So anytime you can shorten up and create more white space for easier reading on the computer, I like to use those drop downs because it just makes it easier. Let me go back to widgets. My computer wasn't acting correctly. I'm going to save this again and then save this one again and hope that the changes are made so you can see them. So let me go back out and hit reload. Okay, there we go. One of the changes that I made for categories is I showed the count. So if you're curious to know how many blog posts you have for a certain category, and if you want to show that to the world, you can. That's a real easy way to do that. And also, I picked another checkbox where it would show the hierarchy. And for this particular category, interviews, we have a subcategory called authors. So if you want people to be able to see that type of display, you can definitely check it off. I'm going to go back over just to check off, show hierarchy, hit save, and then I'm going to go back over and refresh just so you can see. Okay, so if you didn't want people to see your subcategories, it'll look pretty much like this. And if you remember for this one, I changed it. It used to say recent posts. I changed it to my blog. And I only want to show 3 of the most recent blog posts, but it defaults to 5. So see, those are some of the things you can do with widgets that are real easy to do. And it makes customizing your sidebar quick and easy. Now I'm going to go over and just show you one more widget. Let me close these. I like to keep things clean if I can. So let's see. Let me show you what a tag cloud looks like. And I will show you what the text widget looks like. Okay, so I'm going to close that for a second. If you remember when we were doing these blog posts, we added tags. So you can actually, for this one, you can include the categories or the tags. We're going to just stick with the tags for now. And then I'm going to click save. And I'm going to go back over to the website to see how that looks. Okay. Remember these tags? We added these to a couple of the blog posts. Well, the cool thing is it allows you, if you want to, a lot of people used to do this earlier in the days of blogs. I do this a little bit on some of my websites just because it kind of stands out. You notice that Jane Doe and My Trip are larger than the rest of the tags. And that's because for some odd reason, we have more blog posts that have those tags. So the tags that you have the most blog posts in, the most information in, they're going to automatically be set to show larger than the other ones, which is pretty neat. If you have a website with a lot of different content, and some content is more popular than other content, it's a really nice way to show your visitor, hey, I'm talking about this particular issue this week and this particular issue, and they can click on it, and I'm just going to click on Jane Doe, and it'll take them straight to that particular content. So I guess it's just 3 blog posts, and we're just growing this. I could have 30 or 300 in this under this tag, but up here you can see tag archives Jane Doe. That's a real nice way to also organize your content. So that's why, in previous lessons I was saying it's important to put in categories. It's important to add tags because it really makes it easier for you. It makes it easier for the search engine, and it makes it easier for your visitor to really locate and pull out content for your website. Now, I added a widget that you might not see here, and that would be the text widget. So I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to close the tag cloud. Now, the text widget I probably use this widget more so than the others because this, you see, it's just a blank space. For this one, you may have to be comfortable with code a little bit, but it's not anything that you can't do. There may be some basic HTML you might need to know, and I'm going to actually show you some basic HTML in just a few minutes. But this is the area if you have a mailing list like with Constant Contact, Aweber, MailChimp, any of those mailing list companies will offer you code that you can put on your website. Remember, I said the most popular place you're going to put that is on the sidebar. So whenever they give you the code, this is the place where you can add it, and you can usually type, join or subscribe. Yep. Subscribe to newsletter. And your code that you would copy, say from MailChimp. Mail code here from MailChimp. You'll press save. And I don't have code for you right now to show, which I should have. But when I go back out here, I'm going to click reload. And when I scroll down, you'll see the subscribe to newsletter, whatever code that I had here for MailChimp. And I think I'll do this later. I think in a later blog post, I'm going to actually show how and where you get that code from MailChimp, how and where you get that code from Constant Contact. Some of the popular mailing list places, I think that's what I'm going to do later in a later lesson. Kind of bonus material, but I just want you to see where it would go. So just to remember though, you want subscribe to the newsletter probably up top. They usually like your search and your subscribe at the top. So let's go back to the website and hit reload. So this would drop down and you would have your name and the email address and a submit or subscribe button. And this is kind of the look and feel. Another thing people like to put at the top are your icons. And we'll show that to you in a later module. The best way to put the icons in are with plugins. They have great plugins that allow you to add widgets to the side with where it'll let you put a Facebook icon, Twitter icon, LinkedIn icon. It has all those together, which I use and I usually install on my clients' websites. So that's widgets. We're going to come back in a later lesson in this module, and we're going to add 2 more widgets actually. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about menus. And we'll add, say if you wanted an extra menu, you have your menu at the top, but you want one on the side. We'll show you how to do that. And we'll also show you how to create a blog roll using the links area. So those are widgets. There's a lot you can do with widgets. Widgets are like their own little, sometimes like a little web piece on the web page. You can do so much in just that little box. As you can see it, these just holds a lot of information and you can do a lot with them. So we'll be back in just a few, and we'll be talking about menus in the next lesson in this module.